go. All right. So, if you cannot hear me or something is wrong, please let me know. I still need to get the keyboard started up here, but I should be showing up here any second. So, let's see. So, welcome back out to the classroom. You know who it is, Tim from Piano Lessons on the Web. So happy to come back from a 1-week break. Hopefully everybody had a safe and happy Easter, and good to see all of you again. We got Jordan back here, or Jordan again. We got Tanny. Hey, welcome, Tanny. I think I recognize seeing your name, but if I don't, I apologize if it's your first time out. Welcome out to our classroom. You're, of course, welcome back anytime, Fridays and Sundays, where we meet at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and have our discussion together. So let me just get a couple of more things ready, and we'll be ready to go. Actually, I'm almost there. It looks like everything looks pretty good. Okay, so hopefully I look good, I sound good, and hopefully everybody is doing well. All right, we got Carol Christensen back once again, of course. And let's see who else we have. Hey, Adria's back once again. We got Nathan here. A lot of our good and loyal students. Laredo unfortunately had to skip out, but no problem, Laredo. I certainly understand. So hopefully everybody had a great spring break. And yeah, hopefully you're ready to learn. I've been a couple of times, says Tanny. Yeah, I thought I had seen your name before. Okay, let me get the Facebook stream started, and then we'll get going. Just let me like run through a couple of things. Okay, I'm glad I did that because that was out of kilter. Okay, why is it doing this? There we go. Okay, looks great. Okay, just give me 1 minute to start the Facebook stream, and then we'll get started with our lesson. Oh wait, it's already good. Hello students, and welcome back to our classroom piano lessons on the web. If it's your first time out joining us, make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube, like our page if you're on Facebook, because we have new lessons every Friday and Sunday live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there are lessons coming out in between, so you don't want to miss a beat. So let's take a look at what we have going on today. Move that out of the way a little bit. There we go. Okay. Yeah, now we're good. Okay, and I want to make sure that you share this lesson, because the more students we have in attendance, the better of a discussion we'll have and the better of a lesson we will have. Okay, students, welcome back to the classroom. Today we are talking about all the chords I feel like you should know on the piano. And of course, the first type of chord is the triad. These are 3-note chords, and there are 3 main types of these: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Every triad has a root, a third, and a fifth along with it. And unfortunately, for some reason, this is not cooperating with me. Give me a second. I'm running into an issue here with the equipment. So let's see. There we go. Okay, fixed quickly. Very good. Okay, and then taking a look here at the keyboard. So every triad has 3 notes, like I mentioned. So say we have the C major triad. You have what's called the root, which is the name of the chord. It usually appears on the bottom, but not always. We'll talk about that in a minute. You have the third and the fifth. So the question is, why isn't it called root, second, and third, right? Because it's the second note and the third note. Well, the third, fifth, and then as you'll see, we'll go into sevenths, ninths, and so forth, all have to do with the distance the distance the note is from the root. So a third is an interval of a third, meaning it's 1, 2, 3, 3 notes apart. A fifth is 5 notes apart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th, and so on. So that's where root, third, fifth come in. Okay, let's continue here. Okay, the first type of triad is the major triad, and this type of triad is going to sound happy. Now, if you want to play any major triad, you play the root, then you count up 4 semitones. Semitone is a half step, which is the smallest amount of movement you can make on the piano. And then you want to count up for the third, and then 3 semitones up from the third up to get to the fifth. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So you play the note. See, we have C again. Then you're going to count up 4 semitones or 4 half steps from there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to make sure that you're not including the note you're starting on. So if you start with that with 1, the root, you're not going to get the right answer. So you hit the root and then you count up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your third, and then 1, 2, 3 for your fifth, and it's a pleasant sounding kind of chord. So what I want you to practice after this lesson is starting on any note and then counting up 4, then 3, and playing your major triads. Okay, let's talk about the next type. Okay, the next type is the minor triad, so it's another 3-note chord, obviously. And the formula now is to play the root, and then this time you're going up 3 half steps and then 4 half steps. So we've flipped it around, and these are a sad type of chord. So if you had played the C minor triad, it would sound darker and sadder than its major counterpart. And then, like I said again, we flipped the formula. Before it was 4, then 3, now it's 3, then 4. So you play the root, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. All right, let's get into the next triad, which I believe is the diminished. Okay, this is another, well, I don't need to say it's a 3-note chord, but it's a dark and scary sounding chord. And what you do for this one is, the formula is 3 and 3. So you play the note that you need. Let's do maybe F this time. And then we're going to go up 3 and 3 again. And it has a very tense, kind of crunchy type of sound. Okay, let's go on to the last triad, and then we have a lot of other chords after that. So let's take a look. Okay, the augmented triad is another 3-note chord, and it sounds tense and mysterious. You play the root, and then this time the formula is 4 and then 4. So let's say we have E. You go up 4, like you do for a major, and then you go up 4 again. And the name, by the way, when we play diminished, the word diminish means to make smaller. So literally in a diminished chord, we're making the distance between the notes smaller, whereas an augmented chord, to augment, means to make larger, of course. So remember that it's 4 and 4. Just like that. And then you want to obviously go through on your own and practice as many of these as you can. But today it's just an overview. It's more of a chord compendium of sorts of all the chords you'll find. Okay, let's go on to the next type of chord, which, I want to tell you about inversions, apparently. Okay, so this happens when you change the order of the notes. You still have the same 3 notes. They're just in a different order. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's take C major again, C, E, and G. We know that one well. And to invert the chord, what you do is, we're still going to have the same 3 notes, C, E, and G. What you do is you take the bottom note out, you keep these 2 notes where they're at, the E and the G, and you move up the C, the root, up an octave from where it was. And you play the notes again. Now the order is E, G, C, same 3 notes, different order. You do it again, you bring it up and do another inversion. So in a triad, there's 2 inversions. So you have root position, which means the root is on the bottom. You have first inversion, which means the root then is on the top, or it's inverted 1 time. Inverted twice, we have then the 5th on the bottom, and then the root is in the middle. So just keep in mind with that. A lot of times chords will be split up between each hand, in which case what you're going to do, so say I have this, you're going to look out for whatever note is in the bass. So if the 3rd is in the bass, the middle note, then it's automatically going to be in first inversion regardless of what you have going on up here. And if you have G on the bottom, it's going to be second inversion regardless of what you have up there. That's just the way it works. It all depends on what note really is in the bass. But for now, just know that an inversion is changing up the order on the chords. All right, let's talk about our next topic, which I think now is going to be seventh chords. There we go. Okay, a seventh chord, contrary to what you may think logically, which would be that a seventh chord has 7 notes. Wrong. you would hope so, but no. A seventh chord has a root, a third, a fifth, and a seventh. Remember earlier I was talking about the distances between the notes and how you can keep going. So they have 4 notes generally, and there are 5 main types: the major seventh, dominant seventh, minor seventh, half diminished seventh, and fully diminished seventh. There are strange things like the minor major seventh and things like that, but you're not going to see those very often at all. Okay, let's talk about the first type of seventh chord, which is the major seventh chord. So the formula for this is really learn your triads first, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the major triad and we're going to add in a major seventh. Let me show you what this looks like on the piano. So we're going to go back to our old trusty and true C major triad. And then this time, right from the fifth, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps again. And that gives us our answer. The seventh in a major seventh is known as the leading tone because it's the next to last note up that scale. And it really wants you to lead back to what we call the root or the tonic. So that's how you do a major seventh. Let's practice a few. Let's say it's E major seventh. So you play E major triad. Now it might take you a little bit more time than me to figure these out, but then you count up how many? 4, right? 1, 2, 3, and then 4, just like that. All right, let's try one more. How about A flat major seventh? So you start on your root, which is A flat. You count up 4 for that third. You count up 3 again for that fifth. And then you count up how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 to get that last one. So that's your major seventh chord. All right, let's go on to the next type, which of course is the dominant seventh chord. Now, the strange thing about this is a lot of times with the major seventh chord, it's going to say MAJ7 or major 7. However, the dominant seventh chord is just going to say 7 when it says the chord. So it'll say something like D7. That automatically means dominant seventh. And how you play this is you play a major triad, exact same as before, plus a minor seventh. So let's take a look at what this is going to look like. So here's your major. We're going to play a C dominant seventh. So you play your major chord first. And then instead of counting up 4 half steps for what we call the major seventh, you're going to lower that, or only count up 3 half steps. And that gives you your root, third, fifth, and then flat or your minor seventh up there. And it has a jazzy kind of quality. One thing I want to quickly mention is that you can invert seventh chords as well. However, this time you actually have another inversion to work with. Every note you add into the chord, you can invert it one more time. Okay, let's take a look at the next type. All right, which is the minor seventh chord. So this is a minor triad plus a minor seventh, which is up 3 semitones from that fifth. So let's take a look at what that is. So we played our dominant seventh chord before, right? The only difference between a dominant seventh chord and a minor seventh chord is this middle note right here. You just lower it a half step. So now you have root, third, fifth, your minor triad plus that minor seventh up there. Let's try another one. Let's try like G minor seventh, see how we do with that. So you start on your root. Now you need to make a minor triad. So you might have to spend some time on your triads to get these, but you go up 3 half steps. And then how many for the fifth? Think about it, think about it. The answer is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from there you have to go up 1, 2, 3. And a lot of the fingering for a lot of these, especially in root position, I recommend instead of 1, 3, 5, you do 1, 2, 3, and then 5. Just like that. Okay. Let's try one more minor seventh chord. Let's try maybe an E flat minor seventh. You play E flat, you go up 3, you go up 4, and then you go up 3 again. And that gives you your minor 7th chord. So again, practice these around the keyboard. Okay, we have more 7th chords, of course, and actually a lot more chords after this. So let's take a look. I know it's going to be a lot to take in, so you're going to have to watch this lesson a few times to make sure you retain all of these. Okay, the half diminished 7th. So now it's a diminished triad, as if you remember, it was 3 and 3 is the formula. And then you go up to that minor 7th we were playing for the dominant 7th chord. So let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so you play C. So we're going to do C diminished first. You go up 3. Then you go up 3 more. Just like that. And then from there, if you're doing a diminished chord, I mean, you can go right away to that 7th if you remember where that was for the dominant 7th, or you can count up 1, 2, 3, 4 from there. So it's 3, 3, and then 4. Just like that. The fully diminished 7th, which is what's going on next, is the exact same thing, except now we're lowering that top note, the 7th, another half step. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So we're going to do C again. You're going to go up 3 half steps. And then how many for a 5th if we're doing diminished? Another 3, right? Diminished is 3 and 3. Augmented is 4 and 4. Just get those triad formulas in your head. And then you go up another 3. So a fully diminished triad, no matter what you're starting on, let's say D, right, is always 3, 3, and 3. And you can play a fully diminished fully diminished 7th chord no matter where you are. Let's try D flat. You go up 3, another 3, and then another 3. Just like that. Okay, let's take a look because we do have more. Okay, we're going to talk about 9th chords. And we're going to talk about the major 9th chord first. So again, to kind of build on these when you're going from, I would first learn your triads really well, then learn your 7ths really well, and then go on and start learning these 9th chords. Because the formula is a major 7th chord plus a major 9th. And it's abbreviated MAJ9 when you see this one. So let's take a look here. So you have your root. Let's just do a C major 9. You're going to play a C major chord. Then a C major 7th by going up 4 from there. And then you go up to what we call a major 9th. Like that. I actually don't have enough fingers to play it. A lot of times they will leave out like the 5th a lot of times. Let me see how you do this. Or they'll leave out, well, they won't really leave out the root. But anyway, they spread the notes out so you can actually play them between one hand, or they'll split them up between 2 hands. So you'll have like 2 of the notes of the chord down here, and then 3 of the notes of the chord up there. In case you're wondering, how in the world do I play all these notes? But let me show you. So you got root 3rd, 5th, 7th, and then major 9th. If you want to play a major 9th, I mean, you can count up half steps from the 7th, 1, 2, 3. It's another 3 half steps. Or what you can do, or semitones rather, or what you can do is say, okay, I'm playing a C major 7th chord, and now it takes knowledge of scales to know this. So you have to ask yourself, what is the 2nd note in the C major scale? Well, that's the D, and then you move it up an octave, and then that gives you your 9th. But that takes a little bit more theory knowledge to get to. So just remember that it's 4 half steps, 3 half steps, another 4, and then another 3. Somebody in the chat asked, Real One's a fan, 7 half diminished is 7 flat 5. Yeah, that is true. That's just another way of writing them there. Okay, let's take a look at our next. Oh, another thing I want to mention is that once you have your 9th chord here, you can either have a sharp 9, where you sharp it, or flat it. So just know that this would be called C major 7, or C major sharp 9. And then this would be C major flat 9. All right, let's go on to the next chord, which is the dominant 9th chord. Now, this is just written as a 9, so if you have a D dominant 9th, it's just going to say D9. Or if you have C9 dominant 9th, it's just going to say C9. I know it's kind of confusing. Why don't they write it out for the dominants? And I don't know. I'm sure there's a good reason. Okay, this time we're playing a dominant 7th chord from before plus a major 9th. So really the only difference between this and the other chord we did, so we had the major 9th chord like this, C, E, G, B, and then D to show you there. This time we're just taking that 7th and flatting it, since we want a dominant 7th chord on the bottom plus that 9th up there. And that's all you really got to know. And then the same thing here is that you can sharp the 9. So this would be D9 sharp, or no, D sharp 9, and this would be D flat 9. And just remember with dominant, for some reason, they don't write in dominant 9, they just write 9. It's just the way it is. All right, let's take a look at our next class, or the next topic. All right, 11th chord. So we're going to talk about all types of 11ths here in one slide, because once you get the conventions of how to do the major 9ths, or the 9th chords, the 11th chords work the same way, where a major 11th chord, abbreviated as MAJ11, is a major 7th chord plus a, it should say an 11th. It should say 9th and then 11th. I goofed on this one a little bit. Like that. Okay, so this time, it's the same kind of thing. So let's just say we're going to be playing our C major 9, and then our 11th, C major 11th, would just be skipping up another 2 notes, since you have 9, 11, 13, and so forth. So that would be, or you could think of it's the 4th note up the C scale from where we are starting. So you have root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and then the 11th. And once again, you can sharp that 11th. You can't flat an 11th, because then it becomes a 3rd. So just know that you can only have sharp 11, but not flat 11. I know now it's probably getting a lot muddy in here because of all the types of chords we're talking about. So like I said, though, build on from the triad, master those, and then build on to these. Okay, the minor 11th formula is you just play a minor 7th chord, C minor 7th chord, plus that 9, plus the 11th. So it's the same kind of thing. So each time you're just altering what kind of chord you have on the bottom. The dominant 11th chord, you would play a dominant chord on the bottom, and then play your 9th and 11th. And sometimes they have the 9th in there. Actually, you know, if it doesn't say 9, specifically say 9, I think you just play the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of times the 11th chords will have the 9ths in there. All right, let's take a look at the 13th chords, which is the exact same kind of thing as the 11ths. Same kind of conventions, where the major 13th formula is literally the major 7th chord plus a 13th. Minor 13th formula is minor 7th plus a 13th. So each time you're just really altering the 7th chord that's on the bottom. So for the major 13th, you play a major 7th chord on the bottom plus 9, 11, 13. So you continue skipping up from 7. 7, 9, 11, and then 13 you want all the way up there. And then of course you can have sharp 13 or flat 13 like before. So say you had a dominant 13, it just said maybe C13. Well, this time you'd play a dominant 7th chord on the bottom plus 13 up there. Now, if you're wondering why these chords sound so awful, a lot of times in jazz, we're not going to get into it today because it's a whole lesson by itself. A lot of times in jazz and in a lot of things where we use these chords, they break the chords up using voice leading rules, proper voice leading between, or spacing rules between each hand, and that makes them sound a lot better. Because when you start playing a lot of notes in clusters, you know, it sounds really, really bad. It starts to sound really, really off. But if you spread the notes out a bit, even that sounds a little bit too much for me. So maybe like a 9th chord. Let's see here. Yeah, there you go. So there's a good like 9th chord. Sounds nice and dreamy rather than too crunchy. All right, let's take a look at what we have next, which are sus chords. We're going to talk about 2 main sus chords here. Suspended chords is what they're called. They typically involve temporarily replacing a note in a chord, usually a triad, with a nearby note. The nearby note has to resolve or move back to the note of the chord. So let's take a look here. Yeah. So here's how a sus chord works. I know it might be confusing reading it off. So say we have a C major chord. I know you can handle that, at least probably, unless you're really new to this stuff. So you play your C major chord, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take for a sus4 suspension, what you're going to do is you're going to take out this middle note, the third, and you're going to replace it with a fourth above. That's why it's actually called a 4-3 suspension, because you're taking the fourth and then you're doing what's called resolving it, moving it to its proper place. So 4 to 3. They have a really cool, really suspended kind of sound as well. But it's literally called a suspended chord because you are suspending one of the notes temporarily. Okay, let's, oh yeah, the sus2 chord. So you do for a sus2 chord now is we have our major triad, C, E, and G. Now we're going to replace, this is actually called a 2-1 suspension, the full name of it, because we're replacing the root, also called 1 in this case, with a 2. Because remember the notes are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 2 to 1. And as you can see, just by playing a bunch of sus chords, they have a really pleasant sound to them. Whew. All right. We made it. Okay, let me think about what I'm going to do so what we're going to do now is I'm going to open it up to questions. So do you have any questions about chords in the comments? I'm going to look through them here in a second to see if I missed any. But right now we're going to open it up to the community for questions about these types of chords. So please let me know what burning questions do you have. But let me look through what we have already and see if I can find anything. Okay, Real Windsor fan says, love sus chords. They're my favorite. They're one of my favorites too. Okay, Fuddy Duddy's here. How you doing, Fuddy Duddy? Here from Cold Bangor, Maine. Let's see. Always played lots of sus chords when I learned a little guitar. Pumped, though. Way together too much reverb and chorus. Shugaze. Okay. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see. I love jazz too, says Carol. Catherine says, sorry, a little late. Good day, everybody. Welcome out, Catherine. So happy you can make us. I will have to watch this lesson again. Yeah, definitely very much so, Daska. This is definitely one that's going to take a few playthroughs. And as I mentioned throughout the lesson, start with your triads first, the easiest ones. And then once you understand those, it's easier to understand the sevenths. Once you understand the sevenths, it's easier to understand the ninths, and it builds on each other. Don't try to process all this information all at once. Just kind of use this guide over and over again. These sus chords are real nice on guitar. Doing well, Tim. Glad to hear it, Fuddy Duddy. Okay. Oh, is it snowing in Bangor right now? Luckily, it's not snowing here. And actually, the weather wasn't too bad today. I'm excited for the spring weather coming. It's not coming fast enough, in my opinion. But hey, what are you going to do? Okay, let's see what we got here. Love the sweatshirt, says Brenda. If you are interested in a piano lessons on the web sweatshirt, I forgot to put it in the comments of the Facebook group. I'll try to remember to do it later. But it is in the description of the video you're watching right now on YouTube. So go into the description, and it should say something like buy t-shirts here. And you can get your own piano lessons on the web hoodie or shirt. And it's also a great way to help out the channel, as well as let other people know that you're one of our piano lessons on the web students. So thank you for that. Hey, Cheryl's back again. Okay, looks like I got through everything. Okay, Adria does have a great question here. I do have a question, but not about today's lesson. When a piece has number 2 in E minor, BMW 825, what's the relevance to why it's labeled like that? It's a publishing number. Now, there's different types of numbers and everything. I don't quite remember what they're all about, but I'll tell you what. I will quickly look this up for us. So let me type in just BMW. Okay, BMW, like, publishing numbers. Oh, well, it's a bunch of stuff on BMW, the car. So, BMW, is it really called BMW? I thought it was something else. But anyway, it has to do with how it's published. Yeah, you know what? I'll have to look this up later because it's coming up with a lot of BMW stuff, and I don't want to sort through it all. But just know that it has to do with it has to do with the publishing, like in the order in which it was published. But there's different types of numbers and different systems of numbers, and they all mean something slightly different. Some of them, BMW. Is this piece Adria by Bach by any chance? And then number 2 in E minor could be that the composer made like a set of pieces, number 1, number 2, like sonata number 1, sonata number 2. That could be it as well. Yeah, and it is unique name for all the pieces. So it's just an identification number that they use. I found the catalog once, can't remember the link. Well, that's all right. We're a Was It fan. But yeah, just to know that's what they are. And then the number, like I said, the numbers is really like the order, not in which that you have to play them, but the order in which the composer, I'm not even sure if it's the order in which they made them. They really like mess it all up with every composer is like a little bit different in how they do it. But I do know that the number 2s and everything are useful for, at least for people like me, the students, to find the pieces, because I can tell a student, oh, get Beethoven Sonata number 2, and they'll get the right one. I mean, I believe, from what I remember, there's only one Beethoven Sonata number 2. They use sus chords in bossa novas, do they not, Tim? I believe that is correct. Okay, I did. Sunny today says, Real Wednesday fan, I did not know how to cope. I did. I loved it. It was the best. It could have been a little bit warmer even, but it was very, very good. Okay, we got Tanny Shaw. This is a good question. When are the 11th and 13th chords used in music? You may have answered this, but I think I was confused. The answer, just to really sum it up, is jazz. They're used in jazz. Like quite a lot in jazz, actually. And they are called extended chords because you were extending outside of your triad. Sevenths, I don't know if sevenths are considered extended chords, but anything above a seventh is an extended chords. And there's also another name for them, something harmonies, like something about dissonance. BWV is the number. Yeah, I thought BMW, and that might be another subset of numbers, but I'm not sure about that. But I thought it was something different. Okay, so yeah, they're used in jazz a lot. You're not going to find them anything before Chopin. You're not really going to see them in. So more, I'm calling Chopin a contemporary composer. He is compared to somebody like Beethoven, but you're not going to find these chords really very much in Beethoven, if at all. I mean, you might. Bach, you're almost definitely not going to find any of these chords in there. So it's in more recent modern music, and it's really just to add more flavor and texture to the sound. It was a video. Okay. I had watched Adria. Back to the question about the BMVs. Let's take a look. BWVs. It was a video I had watched, and it had a labeling JS Bach Partitia number 2. Okay, number 2 in C minor, so that's the name of the piece. And then BWV. Yeah, let me look at BWV to kind of tell you what exactly that is. I think it's a Bach publishing number. Okay, there are over 1,000. Actually, okay, you guys can't see this. There are over 1,000 known compositions by Bach. Nearly all of them are listed by the Bach Werk. So Bach Werk. I'm German too. I should know how to say this. Bach Werk. Ver. I don't know. Vergennis. I don't know how to pronounce that word. All right, so anyway, the Bach work number, which is best known by the widely used catalog of Bach compositions. So it's really just to catalog them. I'm not entirely sure whether it's based on the order in which he wrote them. For what I remember, it's not. But you can read more about this, though. Because really what you should get out of it is that it's really a publishing number to help identify the piece. Yeah, for jazz and these chords, says Fuddy Duddy. Yeah, we're finally getting into Fuddy Duddy's territory because Fuddy Duddy, I believe, is into jazz guitar. Okay, look. Okay, I think I found it. Catalogs. Oh, list of compositions by them. But let's see. Real Ones and Fans says look up catalogs of classical. Here we go. Classical compositions. Opus number. Okay, there's opus numbers, thematic catalog. So I'm going to let you read about all these because I don't want to get too far into this. This could be like a number or a lesson in of itself. BWV's number allocated to Johann Sebastian's works, developed by Wolfgang Schmieder. They're S numbers, okay. K numbers for Mozart, D numbers for Schubert. So there's different numbers for each one. Again, like with everything in music, to make it as confusing as possible. But it makes sense, though, because you would want a different type of number for each composer. That makes sense to me, actually. Because you don't want to say, like, piece number 15, because you're like, who? But if you say B and then 215 or whatever, you'd say, okay, that's Bach. I think Beethoven even has his own numbers as well. I like jazz. Oh, Mike's here. Hey, how you doing, Mike? I like jazz too, but I got to learn how to play the simpler basics first. Tonight's lesson was very overwhelming and wonder if I'll get far in my learning. So I know it was very overwhelming, and I knew it was going to be when I was making this lesson, and it was 20 slides long, and I was like, oh no, these poor students. But the whole point of this lesson that I wanted to do was an all-in-one place to find out all the chords that I feel like you should know about, all in one lesson. So the thing about this lesson is you're going to have to watch it over and over again. Like I mentioned, you may have missed this part earlier. What I recommend you do is just spend some time learning your triads, the 3-note chords, the major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Because the better you understand those, the easier it will be to understand your 7th chords. And then go through and master all your 7th chords. You know, really understand the major 7th chord, you know, the minor, the dominant. And then once you're able to understand those, it's easier then to understand the different types of 9ths and 7ths. The main thing I want you to get out of this lesson is that chords have notes based on how far apart those notes are from the root. So you have the root, the starting note, and then you have third, which is 3 notes away, 1, 2, 3, root, third, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. And so long as you understand that, you can understand how a lot of these chords work. But like I said, if you really work your way up through the triads, then the 7ths, then the 9ths, the 11ths, then it will become more clear to you. So you're going to have to watch this one again and again. I promise you that. Do you think you could break it up, separate video for each chord? I already have kind of done that. If you look through my channel, that's actually why we're doing this one today. At least... yeah, so type in piano chords, I don't know, lessons on the web. Let's see what comes up. And there should be a playlist. Okay, so I have a playlist called Learning Chords on Piano. And if you click that, I'm going to have to turn the sound all the way down. I actually have individual lessons already. If you scroll over to the side, you have major, triads, minor, diminished, augmented in very short videos. Then you have your seventh chords and your minor sevenths, arpeggios, and then there's some other chord lessons down below. All types of seventh chords of fingering, and then learn all the basic chords with the piano in the fastest method. So I recommend you check out this playlist. Just type learning chords on piano and lessons on the web. So let's see, learning chords on piano, lessons on the web. And I mean, the lessons will show up, but you really want to look for where the playlist is at. Dashka says, I'm so glad I attended the lesson today. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Dashka. Welcome back out to our stream, by the way. Carol says it gets better. Carol says I am overwhelmed too, but I understand some of it. When I first started here and you did a lesson similar to this, I was really lost. Now I'm lost, but not completely. And that's how it works. So people have mentioned that to me about music theory too. When they first started coming, that music theory was like an alien language to them. And then as we kept going over it, they kept attending, it became more and more clear. Real Winds of Fan says, started music theory 2 this week. All right. So you're going to start getting into the more advanced stuff, actually. A lot of stuff we talked about today, and then it's going to branch out. Trust me, there's even a lot more to chords than this. I could have talked about borrowed chords, which I was thinking about doing, but then I was like, nah. I think this is enough. When I play chords, I always use inversion method. Is this wrong? No. I guess I need practice playing the standard way, I guess. I would start learning your chords in root position and then do them in inversions after that. Because what root position is really good for is really getting in your head what chord you're playing, right? Because the root is always on the bottom. When you start inverting them, you might get confused if you're just starting out. I don't get confused because I've been doing this for a long time. I probably learned about seventh chords when I was like 16. So probably like half my life I've known about them. All right. So any other questions about chords tonight? I guess while some more questions are rolling in, I will talk about the website a little bit. So if you have any other questions about what we're doing, one thing I want to tell you is just kind of go over the schedule of what we're doing. So I'll talk about the website in a second. But on the website, there's something called the community page. And first of all, if you're here right now and you're like, I really like attending these, and I want to get notified because YouTube is sometimes a little bit iffy with their notifications, sign up through here on the website. So pianolessonsontheweb.com. You click on the community tab. You scroll down a little bit and fill out this form, and you're going to get a reminder 30 minutes before we meet. But anyway, the best part of this page is you scroll down and we have the calendar of what we're meeting, when we're meeting, and what we're talking about. So on Sunday, I'm going to give you some tips on reading both clefs at the same time. In fact, it's a new type of strategy that I'm going to talk about that you might have thought about before, but maybe not. So you want to attend that one if you want to get better reading both clefs simultaneously, which I know a lot of students struggle with. And then on Friday the 13th, next Friday, we're going to talk about how to write and record a backing track. So if you ever wanted to maybe like improvise the blues perhaps, or write your own piece, and you want the chords automatically being played so you don't have to play everything at once, because that takes a lot. That's actually really hard to do if you're not used to it. So I'm going to talk about how to do that. It's all going to be like stuff you can get for free, like using software that's easy to get. And then the next Sunday, we're talking about how to play Für Elise on the piano. And hopefully I have my taxes done by then, because they were due very soon after that. I think they're doing that Tuesday. Anyway, back to what we were actually talking about. Friday the 20th, we're going to be doing the beginner's guide to using the pedal on piano. So hopefully I will finally get to this lesson, because I have planned to do this lesson so many times, and every time it comes up, it like starts coming up. Something comes up and I have to reschedule it. So hopefully we'll get to this one, because I know a lot of people want that. Tanny says, I'm laughing right now because Tanny says, there's more than what you taught. Yes, that is true. There's a lot more. You should do a video on borrowing and altering chords on common progressions like 1, 5, 6, 4. That's a good idea. Yeah, I could definitely do a lesson on that. So borrowing chords, yeah, we can add, figure out how to do that. Okay, being on spring break, I didn't get much chance to practice. That's okay. I didn't either, even though I had less work to do. I just wanted to take the opportunity to relax a little bit. And man, did it pay off. Actually, another week would have been nice, but that's okay. I feel like after a certain point, I don't get any benefit from it. I'm just being lazy. Let's see. The honeydew list comes first. I can't wait to buy Tim's courses. Well, thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate that. All right, let's go back. All right, so as more comments are coming in, keep them coming. I'm going to talk about the website a bit in case any of you are new here. All right, students, so if you don't know, I have a website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, where I have over 20 courses I designed to help you learn a lot more about piano and music. And if you like what you see over here on the channel, you're really going to like what you see over there because it has instructional videos in the same style you see over here, of course, exclusive to the website, and along with instructional videos, assignments, real songs to play, activities, and more to really make sure that you're not only learning the topics, but you're reviewing them, practicing them, and ultimately mastering them. So it's really a bit more comprehensive than what you find here on the channel. There's courses for beginners, so if you want a good review, you're just starting out. There's courses for intermediate students and more advanced students on topics we haven't covered on the channel, and we're probably never going to cover at least into the detail that we cover here on the channel. So make sure to check out the courses I have there. And if you want a 15% discount, just make sure to use code YouTube during checkout, and you'll get 15% off any order. You can, of course, purchase courses individually, or you can purchase them in course packs and get a deal. All right, so I just want to let you know about that because if you're a student of mine, if you're new here or you've been attending a while and you're looking to take things up to that next level, looking to really get serious about your piano education, you definitely want to head over to pianolessonsontheweb.com. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. My arms hurt now too. Okay, increase practice to 2 hours a day. My arms hurt now, taking a day off. And actually, you'd be surprised. That is very, very common. Once you start practicing more than an hour a day, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, which you only really should do if you're starting to get really serious about learning piano, your arms will get tired, actually. That is very common. Keep up the practice. I love the Mozart, says Karen. Practice goal, says Tanny. I do have a question about the website. After you buy the courses, how long do you log in? So do you mean like how long do you have access to the courses for? You have access to the courses for a lifetime, for as long as the website is up and running, which from right now I can see running forever as long as I'm alive. So you will have access to them. You know, I call it lifetime access, but as long as we're around, you'll have access to them. And if anything somehow happens, I'll make sure that you still have access even after that. And then how do you, after you buy the courses, how do you log in? Okay, so I think I got your question now. I think I misread it at first. How do you log in? So what'll happen is once you purchase a course, I will get notified by email, and as soon as I see that email, I'm going to fill out a student course or a student account for you, where I'm going to give you send you an email back with your login information, and then you're going to set up a password from there. So that's what's going to happen. You'll enroll, then I'll email you back with some information, and then you'll be able to log into any courses that you are enrolled in. Okay, Adria says, just a suggestion, on some of your videos, the sound quality is a little low. Maybe get a clip-on mic and clips the clothing and pick up better sound. A lot of times sound doesn't pick up the best. So are you talking about the mic that I'm using now? Because I used to use a different mic that was not good at all. Wasn't very good at all. So the thing about like my older videos is that I wasn't using nearly as good of equipment now. This should sound pretty good. If it doesn't sound... Now, obviously, if I'm over here and I'm scrolling on something, you're not going to hear me as well. That's just the way it is. But this microphone in front of me is really good mic. So is it on my older videos or is it some of my newer videos as well? Because the sound level on my newer ones, from what I've seen, because I edit the videos for the most part anyway, I do, the sound level is a lot better than it used to be. I used to have the sound levels all over the place to where the piano was way, way louder than my talking, and that was a problem. Okay, hold on. Yeah, Adrian. So let me know if on the newer videos you have a problem, because I can adjust the microphone as well to pick up more of the sound when I'm further away. The sensitivity, I adjust the sensitivity so when I'm up close to it, it's not too loud. And the clip-on mic thing I can't do just because of the setup that I have. Because I have the sound recorder or the sound system hooked up into the piano and the microphone simultaneously. I could do a clip-on mic to my computer, but then I'd have to figure out how to mix. Anytime I have to mix the sound from two different sources, it ultimately messes up. I used to do that, actually. It was really bad. Okay, yeah, click the My Account tab. So let me show you what we're working with here. So I had a question from Tanny about like how do you log in. So actually, if you go up to the top here, I'll send you the information on how to log in and everything. But you go over here next to Contact Me, or no, next to More, and you click on Login. And that's where you're going to put in your login credentials. And then once you log in, you'll be able to access your courses, which you can access through a little pop-up that comes up. Or what you can do is you can go to music courses, scroll down, and actually you can click on any kind of topic that you want here. But say you want to get into learn to read music, you click view course, and then you click enter course after that. And then once you're logged in, it will take you there. Right now I'm not logged in since it came up with the login screen. Okay, Carol Christian says, I have arthritis and a few of my fingers are crooked. I think playing the piano is helping me get more flexibility in my fingers. I hit the wrong notes sometimes due to this. Okay, I don't know how I missed that. Thank you, says Real Winsit fan. Yeah, thank you for answering that for me. Because I was stupid on the question for a second. I wasn't sure what was being asked, but it was actually pretty clear. It was just my brain wasn't picking it up. Okay, let's take a look here. Anytime you exercise your fingers, you're doing some good. That is true. Although, if you feel like if you're having like intense pain in your hand ever, or it feels like carpal tunnel or anything, do me a favor and please see a doctor. But however, a little bit of soreness in your hand after practicing for long periods of time, that's normal. That's perfectly fine. That's actually, I would think, to an extent, good for your hand. Now, overdoing it will give you carpal tunnel or something like that. But if you ever feel like there's a problem, see a doctor. All right, Mike's good now, says confineness. I thought it's a lot better than it was, but I do know that in some of the older videos on the website, like the old ones where the first courses I made, that the sound, and actually here on the YouTube channel, wasn't quite as good in the beginning. Okay, that is amazing. Maybe my fingers will straighten out. All right, let me see what I got here. The rest is up to me. Okay, Roland's a fan says, strangely, I have nerve damage in my right hand from an injury about 15 years ago. And I just noticed recently that I seem to have had some nerve regrowth. Yeah, that is possible. Okay, everybody. Any other questions before we go? We're almost at the hour here, so I think I'm going to start wrapping it up. I'm going to think about if there's anything I want to tell you before we go. The main things I want to tell you before we go is if you liked our class tonight and you want to be a regular attendee of the live stream, I highly recommend, and I mentioned this earlier, go to the website, Piano Lessons on the Web, click on Community, and fill out this little form here, and that way you're going to get an email reminder before we meet if you're really interested in what we do here. Like if you're new here on YouTube and subscribe, or if you're on Facebook, and subscribe if you are on YouTube. That's how they work. Like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. And if you're interested in any courses, head over to pianolessonsontheweb.com. Let me write that in the chat right now in case you've never been there. So there you go. All right, I'm going to do a formal outro so when I piece this video together, it makes sense. Oh, Carol, thank you so much for the super chat. I even forgot to bring up super chats, but thank you so much for your support, Carol. If any of you are interested, you liked our lesson tonight, you can feel free to leave us a super chat. And it's a great way to contribute a little bit to the channel and makes me feel good and, you know, really helps keep things going. Because as you know, it does take a lot of my time and money to keep this thing running. It literally is my job. I mean, I have other students I teach, you know, outside of the house, but this is actually a big part of my job, especially these days. Okay, it was in some of your videos I had watched previously, probably your most recent videos like early 16, 17, maybe early 18. Sometimes the sound on the video is a bit low. That was up to 100. Okay, yeah. I have mostly rectified that situation. Thank you very much for the haircut, by the way. No, it's not just you. I recognize it too. I had some other people comment, and at that time, I just had the audio balance levels kind of out of whack. You know, as I do this, as you can see, I've learned, you know, some production things. I'm obviously not perfect. The lighting is starting to get there. I think I have a lot of the lighting figured out. It still needs to be adjusted, I think, a little bit. But the cameras are looking really good. The audio's looking a lot better. If you look at my first videos, trust me, I've learned a lot about how to make videos over the last few years. And there's still a lot more to learn. I'm sure I'm going to look back even a year from now, maybe even 6 months from now, and be like, man, I can't believe I did that. It looks so bad. But, you know, it's just the way it is. Okay, what was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Thank you again, Carol, for the super chat. I want to think of a... Oh, if you want my free ebook, the Piano Practice Guide, Your Road to Success, that is in the description. And when you sign up for that, you will also get some follow-up emails with some lessons and things like that. But you'll at least get the free ebook. And if you don't want the lessons, you can unsubscribe from the newsletter. Okay. Oh, let me answer Tanny's question. Oh, thank you very much, Mike, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. So a big thank you to Mike and Carol. Can't let Carol outdo me. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate that. Okay, another question about the chord. Should I memorize the inversions the same time as memorizing them in root position? The answer is no. I would honestly learn all your chords in root position first and then start messing around with the inversions. Or memorize all major chords in root position first and then their inversions. You can do it like that. So you could learn your triads, like your major triads, all in root position, and then inversions, and then do the same thing with your minors. You learn them all in root, and then inversions, and then diminish all in root, then inversions. So yeah, you can section it off like that. That works out perfectly fine. In fact, that sounds even better than what I said. That's actually the way I would do it. What I meant by that is you don't want to start like adding inversions into the mix right away. Like say you haven't even mastered the major chords yet, and you're already adding in inversions. I don't recommend that. I recommend you master the majors first and then do the inversions. Okay, we got Mike. He can now buy a coffee and a donut. Thank you. This day and age, $10 probably would buy me a coffee and a donut at Starbucks. It might not even cover that. I don't know. All right, let me scroll down. The lighting is looking a lot nicer. Thank you. It's starting to look a lot nicer in general, the picture and all. You're welcome. Yeah, I just invested in a pretty nice camera here. Actually, I've always had a nice camera on my fingers. This one has always been really nice, like really clear and nice. And then I just recently bought a new one for my face, which looks way better than the one I was even using a few weeks ago. My face looks a little washed out. Yeah, I need to work on that a little bit because I feel like I have almost a little too much light going on. So I'm going to work on that. I did notice that as well. Okay, Dashka says playing the piano can also help many sicknesses. Okay. I'm not sure what Dupuytren's disease is, but and playing the piano definitely helps, but I'm glad that it helps you. That's great. Okay, Mike says I do lighting for a church. Thank you very much. Minimal shadows. The new camera makes your hair look good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Use more fill and less direct light. Yeah, that's what I think. I think I need to kind of cover, or at least, well, I can't push the lights back any, but I can probably find some kind of covers for the lights to make them a little bit better. Actually, later this year, as I've mentioned in passing before, it's very, very, well, I'm like near 100% certain that we're going to be moving into a new studio this year. Actually, I'm moving into a house. This hasn't happened yet. I haven't bought the house or anything, but I will start looking very, very soon. And then once we do that, then I'll have more options in terms of my lighting. Because right now I'm in a basement. They're hung up on this like bar that goes across. When I'm about to move, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video of my studio right now. I'm not going to show you right now. I want it to be a surprise. I also don't want you to see how appalled you're going to be with how bad it looks. Right here it looks fine. But trust me, I'll show you someday. You'll know what I'm talking about. You'll be like, I cannot believe he did that for the longest time there. But hopefully it's going to get a whole lot better. It's going to. I'm going to buy this house. I'm both looking forward to it and dreading it a little bit because I know it's going to be a lot of work. I might have to take a couple weeks off to make this whole thing happen, but I know you'll understand. And the quality will go up because of it, so it'll be worth it. Hey, Super Pika Kong, welcome out to our live stream. If my camera has a tungsten setting, which it might, shoot video in that, it looks a lot more natural. Okay. All right, yeah. So I'll mess around with the lighting a little bit more. Yeah, I can definitely still improve it some. All right, everybody. I still need to think of an outro for this video. I'm trying to think about what I want somebody to do after watching this chord video. Okay, students, if you want to learn a lot more about chords, let me think about this some more. Okay, students, if you want to... Okay, I like to do the outros right, because if I mess it up, then I either have to redo it later. So let me think about what we're going to say. All right, students, I highly recommend you check out another lesson I made, which is how to learn your major chords the fastest method. So if you're just starting learning these chords and you want to get a really good grasp on them, I highly recommend you check out that lesson and subscribe because we have new lessons coming out every Friday, every Sunday, and peppered out in between. So you want to become a part of our awesome classroom, our awesome community. So thanks everybody for coming out. This has been Tim from Piano Lessons on the Web. Have a great night, and I'll see you students real soon. Okay, Real Ones at Fan says, never see how the sausages are made. Backstage is always a nightmare. You'll see someday. So excited for you to get a new home/studio. I'm excited as well. eBay sells filters for the lights. All right, I'll check that out. Okay, direct student to some chord progression stuff. Wait a second, what? Oh, direct chord student to some chord progression stuff. I gotcha. I was thinking about doing that, but I think the learn the chords fast lesson, that's already a popular lesson. So I think students will like that. All right, everybody. I think that about does it for tonight. Thank you for coming back out. It was great joining you back once again. Make sure to pick up a t-shirt or a hoodie if you haven't already from the link I have put in the description. So thanks, everybody, for coming out. It's because of you that I'm still doing this, your support, your love for learning piano, and I'm loving teaching you. So here's to more lessons ahead. I'll talk to you actually in just a couple of days on Sunday. So have a great one, and I'll talk to you then. Don't clean up the basement first, like I would do. Yeah, I'm not going to, actually. I'm going to clean it up after I move. Would you play us out? Yeah, I'll play you out for some blues. All right, let's take a look here. You're very welcome, Mike. Thank you for the super chat, as well as Carol and everybody else for coming out tonight. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out, students, and have a great one. And I'll talk to you real soon. So thank you coming out. Yeah, thanks for coming out to our lesson. Karen says, "Trust me, you wouldn't have liked the ones I've served you if you know what I did. Oh, my aunt, I own a sweet shop. Maybe do with them. Oh my goodness." All right, Karen, and everybody else, have a great night.